This is Clovis from Kinematic Lab. In this video you will learn how to blend smoothing groups and material IDs between your assets and your object. So let's just import an asset for now. Okay. So this is an asset that I created previously, so it is all setted properly. So how did this work? If you want to merge a mesh into another one, okay, and still have a smooth render, a smooth turbo smooth, or having a nice looking surface, you need to have some smoothing groups, okay, which are here in editable poly, which you probably know, okay. So for example, if I select some faces here and change the smoothing group, okay, you see that now my faces looks a bit detached from the rest of the object. But if I set them back to one which is the same smoothing groups as the surrounding faces, it looks smoothed now. Okay. So the thing is, in order to blend your assets to your face selection, okay, to blend properly, it has to understand the smoothing groups between these two things, which is your face selection and your assets border. So in this tool, what you have to do is, in all your assets, is selecting the faces of the border, okay, like that, and keep this smoothing group to 1. Okay, because what it will do is, when it is inserted, all the smoothing groups 1 will be converted into the smoothing groups of your face selection. Okay, so if I convert all these faces to, let's say, smoothing group 12, okay, and select some faces, now if I insert this asset, we'll just change its size, okay, you see that it is smoothed properly because all the border faces now transformed between 1 to 12, okay, which was the smoothing group of the faces, and the bridge faces also take this smoothing group, so it all blends perfectly. But now, if you do not change these faces into smoothing group 1, let's say you add smoothing group 9, okay, which you can do if you want to keep separated smoothing groups. So you will save this asset again, okay, and now if I insert it, it's going to look detached. Okay, you sort of see the borders of these faces because the surrounding faces still have the smoothing group 12, but these faces have the smoothing group 9, okay? So be sure that you keep all the borders at smoothing group 1, so they will be transformed into the smoothing groups of your selection. Okay, so that's it for the smoothing groups. Now let's talk about the materials. Let's find an asset in my library which has some interesting materials on. So this one, for example. So if I show you the material, this is very simple. This is just a multi-sub object, okay? And all these faces in gray here have the material ID 1, okay, and all the faces in white have the material ID 2. So this is a multi-sub object with 2 sub materials, okay, one which is gray and the second one which is white. So it works exactly like the smoothing groups. So all the materials, all the material ID 1 is going to be turned into the material ID of your selected faces. Okay, so the materials will blend like that. So all these material ID will change and take the material ID of your selection, and so it's material 2. So let's say I'm creating a box. Okay, like that. And now I will change some material ideas. Well, it already has some different material ideas, so it's 4, 1, 6, 3. So if I assign a new subobject material to it, I will just change its color. Okay. So you have now this multi-sub-object with some different colors per face. Okay. And if you select some faces, okay, and try to insert this asset, you see that the border faces, which were gray previously, okay, now take the color of these faces, because the smoothing groups, which was the material ID which was 1 turned to the material ID 6. And if I change to another face, okay, it's going to do the same. So that's how you can quickly blend some materials and keep the borders looking fine with the surrounding faces. And that's the same for all the other assets I prepared. Some of them have different material ideas. So like this one, for example. Okay, if I import it, you see that all these faces have the material ID 1, and all these faces have the material ID 2. So the material ID 2 is kept, and the material ID 1 is changed into the material ID of the selected faces here. So what it does is, if I now pick the material of this object, it completes the multi-sub-object with the added material. So you have the white for the LEDs, and this is the metallic material I did in this one. So that's it. I hope it's clear. See you in the next video.